Our next speaker is Mr. Amjad Hussain Mirza. Amjad Hussain is an analyst scientist at the Muslim Institute of London and is known for his human rights work. He led a very high-profile campaign in 2006 for the release of his brother, who was placed on the death row for 18 years on false charges. He received the help of various members of parliament, the MEPs, including Prince Charles. Since then, he has been untiring in his efforts for the removal of death penalty in Pakistan, and due to his efforts, the present Prime Minister of Pakistan has commuted the death penalty of 7,000 death row inmates into life imprisonment. Mr. Amjad Hussain.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Your Holiness, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace be upon you all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for granting me the opportunity to say a few words. It's a great pleasure and an honor to be invited to address such an august annual convention. First of all, I want to share my delight with you all that after long and hard-fought campaign, the Prime Minister of Pakistan announced last month to commute the death sentence of 7,000 inmates to life imprisonment. As somebody who has been emotionally tormented by the plight of a loved one on death row and the trauma it had on my brother for the last 18 years, made me more determined to rid Pakistan of this barbaric practice, because the miscarriage of justice is common in that country. The members of the Ahmadiyya community only know too well, because they are often the target of the notorious blasphemy laws that carry the mandatory death sentence in that country. Therefore, the recent announcement is a small step in the right direction. While this has been applauded worldwide, this decision was met with parity of disapproval, as usual, from the conservative clerics inside Pakistan. The government was merely honoring human rights pledges made in their election manifesto. A stereotypical description of Islam implies that it is medieval, retributive, and oppressive religion. Also, the recent statements in favor of Islamic law by the Archbishop of Canterbury and the Lord Chief Justice have drawn the strongest of condemnations. Because unfortunately, Sharia conjures up the most horrific images of public beheadings, stoning, and amputations that flash before the public's imagination. However, those of us with a slight knowledge would know better that as in all religions, there are progressive and conservative strands of thought, and Islam is no exception. The Ahmadiyya movement is a living example of peaceful, law-abiding, and progressive community. There are so many schools of thought, and there is so much diversity within the Muslim world, even with many aspects of religious doctrines, both in law and practice. This is vividly demonstrated with regards to the application of capital punishment. Almost 30 out of 60 Islamic countries have abolished the death penalty or have moratoriums in place. The Holy Quran contains about 6,219 words, yet only a few mention capital offenses with punitive injunctions, and these verses have strong emphasis on clemency. The fairness and accuracy and the due process of law form the foundation of justice throughout the world. This is also the case in the Holy Quran as the primary source of law in Islam. Basic human rights and freedoms are particularly mentioned in the Holy Quran. There can be no discrimination on the basis of gender, race, color, creed, or nationality. It is said in chapter 17, the children of Israel, verse 70, that we have honored humanity as a whole. All mankind are worthy of respect. Everybody should be treated justly. It is said in chapter 16, the B, and I quote, "Verily God has enjoined justice and benevolence, the giving of gifts to your relatives, and has forbidden indecency and oppression." Even the enemy should be treated with fairness and justice without bias. And I quote another verse of the Holy Quran. This is from Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter 5, verse 8. "O who you believe, stand up as witnesses for God in all fairness, and let not the hatred of people deviate you from justice. Be just, this is close to piety, and be aware of God. God is aware of all that you do." Right of freedom of religion also finds explicit expression in the Holy Quran. There is a complete freedom to adopt or forsake whatever religion one likes. And of course, a very famous verse from Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 256. And it is said that there is no compulsion in matter of faith. Distinct is the way of guidance now from error. No human being can be subservient to another. Nobody can have the right to rule over other people and browbeat them into following one's religion. Not even the Prophet of God has that right. It is said in Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse 79, and I quote, no human has the right, even though God may have given him a code of law or the power to enforce it, or even prophethood, that he should say unto mankind, be subservient to me instead of God. It is apparent from these verses that the capital offense for blasphemy is repugnant to Quran and Sunnah, that noble example of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the Holy Quran, there is no punishment for apostate. When freedom of religion is the basic principle, then why should there be punishment for a change of religion, or for that matter blasphemy? Since no punishment for such offenses to be found in the primary source of Islamic law or the life and example of Prophet Muhammad himself, it is about time these laws are scrutinized, reformed and brought into line with 21st century ground realities and the human right norms, which are also in accordance with the Quranic principles. Besides, death penalty is unnecessarily invoked when justice and legality can be achieved with alternative punishments. The message of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is one of mercy, compassion and sanctity of life. The Quran clearly states that retribution shall be forgiven out of charity, so that those who forgo it will atone thereby sins of their past. This is chapter 5, verse 45. In this verse, the law of retribution is described. Both Muslims and Jews are encouraged to forgo it out of charity, which underpins the strong notions of mercy that are found throughout the Holy Quran. Several alarming reports identify that the death penalty in Pakistan is being applied without due process. There are serious dangers that innocent people are being executed, as clever litigants often manipulate oral evidence due to lack of reliable forensic analysis and subvert the course of justice. This situation is further exacerbated by overworked judges, under-resourced and corrupt criminal justice system, coupled to due system of law, resulting in high probability of miscarriage of justice. Under these circumstances, it is expedient to exercise prudence, and echoing the words of the second Caliph of Islam, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Hazrat Umar bin Khattab radiyallahu anh, and I quote, better to set free 100 offenders than to put to death an innocent person. And I quote another saying from a reformer Caliph, Umar bin Abdul Aziz rahmatullah alayhi, and he said that better I should err 1,000 times in pardons rather than err once in the application of a penalty. Moratorium or a freeze on execution is a much safer alternative, because the element of mistake cannot be ruled out under the circumstances that currently prevail in Pakistan, and justice and legality can serve its course without executions. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening, and thank you, Mr. President.